have you faced, and what lessons have you picked out of your many years of experience so far?
Thank you. Just to reintroduce myself again, my name is Engineer Judith Naiga Sengendo. I work as a Director Technical Regulation with the Electricity Regulatory Authority. And with this role, I'm charged with providing leadership to the technical aspect of the electricity supply industry. That is from generation, transmission, distribution, and supply in the areas majorly of licensing, compliance, planning, and investments. So I have, as she has mentioned, over now 16 years of experience in the electricity supply industry. I have worked with the generators, I have worked in the dams, I have worked on the distribution segment, I have also worked with the Electricity Authority for the past 11 years. So I have a vast experience within this industry. I chair various technical committees. One of them is the Great Code Committee. I chair the Installation Permit Committee, the System Planning and Coordination Committee. I also sit on other committees on standards formulation with the National Bureau of Standards, among others. So for my school, I have a master's degree in electrical power systems at the University of Bath from the UK. I'm currently undertaking my MBA. I'm at the tail end. So basically that is briefly about me. I have a passion for designing electrical networks. I have done this in my previous work until to date. Yes, so where you see power lines moving from this location to that, using specialized software, that has been my specialty for some time until I got more into the leadership. So how has the journey been for me? Maybe to mention also a critical area of a woman in this space is I am married. I also have 5 children. Yes, so I have a cocktail of those roles, and I've been able to thrive within this sector because of various aspects. One of the key aspects I can say for a woman to thrive in the energy space is mentoring. We need to, I have been handheld, I have been mentored right from the time I was a child. My father was a serious advocate to sciences, and because of that motivation, I did not shy away from doing those hard subjects. I have always had a positive attitude towards them that if this is integrated into our day-to-day life, where children are mentored from an early age, they'll be able to seize these opportunities that are present within the energy sector. Growing up, of course, with going through various institutions and interacting with various people has been an opportunity for me, being mentored at every level, meaning the mentorship should not just start from the lower, it should continue throughout the career. I know that there are programs that target the girl, but usually they come in towards the end, maybe late secondary, university, tertiary, but if this is integrated from right at the grassroots and then followed through, this would be very beneficial to the women not to shy away from taking on these. Also, the advocacy for women that in these spaces play a big role. We are women who have had opportunity, like me, go out and speak to the young girls, because the energy sector has been dominated for centuries by men, and the perceptions out there is it's a man field. So for you to break out, to break the walls and be able to penetrate requires a lot of dedication, a lot of motivation, a lot of energy. Even some parents would discourage their children from doing such because they think it is a man's field. So to break the ice, to break the walls that divide the men and women in this field plays a very critical role that has been done by the various institutions, because now we see that trends are being reversed. We see there's a lot of policies, a lot of advocacy, a lot of frameworks that are being formulated to ensure that the divide between the women and the men in the energy sector is narrowed. So you talked about challenges. Yes, the challenge is the wall, the divide that inherently exists, that energy belongs to men, women should do the other softer courses. I remember years back when I told some people that I'm doing electrical engineering, they said, hey, you are going to climb poles. For them, they cannot fathom a woman climbing an electric pole. So that perception needs to be dealt with right from the society where these children are raised into the tertiary institutions. Also, there are still a number of biases that still present themselves within the sectors, within the various profiles where they think a woman cannot manage that. So if those biases are dealt with, then we'll be able to get to a level where we narrow the gap that we see. I can ably say that whereas we still see this divide, the percentages show that we are making significant strides. So what remains is just a little bit for us to be able to match up with our expected levels within the various, and this is going to involve including everyone. If it is within the energy value chain, we need to see women included in the generation, in the transmission, in the distribution. We need to see them included in the projects. For example, the contractors that do this work, we need to have ladies being included. So creating an all-inclusive environment where this is going to be a deliberate effort for women to be given an opportunity to participate. Not only women being seen as energy users, but being seen as those that can strategically contribute to the strategic decisions of the energy sector in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer. Now we turn to Dr. Matembe. She needs no introduction. Her work speaks for her, her advocacy, especially for women's rights, and when it comes to governance, it's even stronger. And so we want to hear from you, Johnny, having been a part of those women through which then, when the President made the affirmative action, today in Parliament we do have over 122 women member of Parliament, something to be proud of, and yet the number is not yet equal. And so when it comes to affirmative action, with your experience, is it working? Is it giving us, the women, opportunities to engage in governance in different sectors?
If it was not working, you wouldn't even be there talking like that.
True.
And we ourselves here wouldn't be here.
We would be in the kitchen.
One thing I want to, where do I begin?
From the beginning.
I want to thank the organizers for inviting me to this conversation. He insisted that I come, and I insisted, telling him that for me, energy, I don't even understand energy, renewable energy. I was refusing, because for me, my area, God's purpose for my life is to fight for justice, equality, and fairness, with particular emphasis on gender equality and women's empowerment. And so I don't look at one area like energy, because you ask me about energy, I don't know, I've never been an electrician, I've never been. You have heard I'm a lawyer, they call me the Honorable Dr. Miriam Matembe, because all my 3 degrees are where? in law. And why was I focusing on law? Because I wanted to see what does the law say about this and completely unjust and unfair treatment of a woman and a girl child. And that was at my 9 years, not now. So for me, all my life is to fight that a woman should be treated as an equal human being, as the counterpart, the man, in her own right. And when I told this man, he said, that's the reason why you should come here and tell us as to where women should belong in this renewable energy battle. I said, okay, now you have convinced me, therefore I'm coming. The first thing I'm very happy about by coming here is I have seen young people. This conference is constituted by the young people mainly. And that made me happy because the Bible, I'm a believer, of course, you know that. And I don't fear talking about the Bible because this country is built on the foundation of God. Our national anthem says what? Oh, Uganda, we lay our future into the hands of God. And then the other motto says, for God and my country. And therefore, in that Bible, there is a word which says that when King David had served his purpose, in his generation, he rested. And so you people, each generation has a purpose to serve for its nation. And that's why I was happy to see that young people are here involved in these new things which they are talking about. Very soon they were talking about AI, artificial intelligence. Do you see me going into those things? I have already served my purpose in my generation. I'm waiting to rest. And therefore my appeal to you is, you young people, you better wake up. Wake up and put on integrity, put on ethics, put on values, and love your nation, because that's all you have. And I wish you a shift, a mind shift in your lives, if you are going to really achieve whatever you are talking about. For me, I will rest, and I'm sure many people will come to cry for me and bury me, but I can assure you the fruits I have borne will remain here. Because in John chapter 15 verse 16, it says that God, I created you, I appointed you, and chose you that you may bear fruits. Bear fruits that would last. You hear that? And at least even if I don't say much today, I have thrown that word to you. So today, for me, as I told you, gender equality, women's empowerment. To know that a woman is as much of a human being as the counterpart, the man, which is based on the Creator, our God, who created man, and after seeing that man was helpless, mark that word helpless, he created a suitable helper. If God himself could see that man on his own cannot work to realize God's purpose for creating him, unless he works with the counterpart, the woman, who, by the way, comes from the rib, so that you may understand that the two were to exist side by side with one another, and then be able to realize God's purpose for why they were created here. You need to know those things. At least I'm going to sensitize you, even if it won't relate to energy, but in the end it will relate to energy.
Doctor, that is good energy, actually.
So you really need to know that a man needs a woman. I usually ask people, how do you say in the house, in the home, the man cannot help himself in all these things? He needs a woman to help. Why is it that when you get at cabinet, when you get in the boardroom, you think you now have special wisdom to act and make decisions for that office without this helper? It needs the real sense, real common sense. If at home I cannot do it myself alone, I need this help. That means even in the office, whichever office they are, our brains, our talents, our potential as women to work with men side by side and make proper decisions for the management of God's creation, we need one another. We need one another. And that is the battle I have fought for all my life. And I will continue to fight it. You see, today they wanted to tap on the ideas of the religious leaders, because they want religious leaders to mobilize people for this renewable energy. And one of the very tough, who speaks like me, Pastor Semper, came in to talk about this energy, and among the energy, he put there sexual energy is needed. These days, men need renewable sexual energy. And he told us how actually he told his people, and when he found out he wanted to prove it, he went and organized the certain, or it is a hub, whatever it is, and put in the certain pharmacy. And he told the people, the men, you go there. And the next day he found the whole thing was bought. It was not there anymore. And as I sat there and I said, you imagine these men being renewed sexually and they find unrenewed women in the home? What chaos do they do? You see, you are renewing this man to go home to an unrenewed woman. So he tries this and you go to another, they end up with about 3 of them. And so what is this going on? And that gave me where to begin. But even the religious leaders, you want to go and mobilize, their mind is not motivated by gender equality and women's empowerment. So the issue of women's gender equality and women's empowerment in decision making is very, very central, even when it comes to this renewable energy. The other example I want to give is, many of you are young, as I said. You don't know the origin of this affirmative action, which you referred to in politics and these other areas. Actually, it is only at political level. It has not even been permeated into the public service level. That's why you'll find a minister for energy. She's a woman. But then after that, you follow men. And yet decisions are made at the commission level, director level. And when you look into it, you find how many women in the Ministry of Energy are there at those levels? Commissioner, director. Yes, the woman is there. And I think the Minister of State is a man. But down the road, down there, who is there? You find they are not there. Therefore, the decisions are being made to affect women. And in this energy area, women are affected much more by this, whatever energy policies you are putting forward. And yet, the decisions that promote these policies are made without their participation. The example I wanted to give you when I said you were young was when NRM was in the bush, why they came out with this affirmative action. I was told by those people who were in the bush, when at one time these people were working without any money. One day they went and broke into a bank and robbed some money. After getting this money, they called the high command. The high command chaired by President Museveni, and you know, Mchara Njuba, Mrs. Njuba was his assistant, you know, like person to take care of Museveni's concerns. She was the only woman who was seated there in this high command decision-making body. So they said, now that we have this more money, how are we going to use it? Let us prioritize how we are going to use it. And they listed all the priorities in which they were going to use it. And the meeting ended and they walked away. When they walked away, Mrs. Njuba whispered to the president. He said, you know, he was not excellency by then. He was a rebel. He said, you know what? We could have also got some little money for our sanitary towels. And the president said, the rebel said, that's when his eyes opened and said, my goodness, so poor women, how have you been managing? How? What does that mean? That when men are taking decisions, there are certain matters concerning women which can never get into their heads unless they are brought to their attention. And that's how Museveni said, you know what? These women are doing a lot. They are helping us in many, many things. And yet, when we go to take decisions, they are not there, and yet there are many things which concern them, and yet for them they don't talk in public loudly, yet we need to know these things that concern them so that we move together. And that's how they said, we must have a woman at every level of decision making so that they may also put their side there. So that's how the affirmative action came in, and that's how we moved with it and used it to influence direction. You were asking, has it worked? As a person who came onto the public platform when there was no woman to stand up and also be a leader, and people listen to a woman, there was no woman, there was no talk about women, there was no talk about issues of women. But when the NRM government came here, that's when we went outside there like crazy to mobilize everything to do with women's participation. And we made very, very great strides, very, very great strides. That every time now there is whatever they say, where are women? You've left out women. Where? We were nobody. We were nothing. Within these 40 years is when the whole issue of women came up. To study, you had to study teaching and nursing. Other qualities, other courses, you could never. But anyway, you know how far you've gone. My only challenge is that we are on reverse gear. We are going on reverse. And I want to tell you that the reason why we want affirmative action was to enable women come at a decision-making platform to participate in making decisions that will influence the governance agenda, to make it responsive for their interests and concerns. But right now, women are there at the highest level. It has never been in this country to have a woman president, vice president, have a woman speaker, a woman speaker, a woman vice president, a woman prime minister, first deputy prime minister, third deputy prime minister. It has never been, but I can assure you they are in positions of power without power. Their influence is extremely minimal. Whereas when we were there, our influence was great. Why? Because of the change of the political environment that has become unconducive to women's effective participation.
Well, thank you so much, Doctor. We'll be returning to you to then interrogate the opportunities, because even in the reverse gear, we still believe that there are opportunities that we can tap into. Now turning to Madame Nakamia, in regards to women in energy, as yourself, you're a woman leader in energy, what have been your experiences, your challenges, but also what are the opportunities that have presented themselves before you?
Thank you so much, and a very good afternoon to you all who are here. I'm Emily Nakamia. I'm a business planning and performance manager at UNOC. I'm an economist and with a bias in petroleum, finance, and energy. So while I talk to you today, I bring you apologies from the CEO, Ms. Proskovia Nabanja, who dearly wanted to be here, but got a conflicting call to engage her, and that's why I'm here, but she's here in spirit. So after the Honorable has spoken, I think the gentlemen who are here become ambassadors of this change that we want to see. In UNOC, as we stand out to take the commercial interests of government forward in the oil and gas sector, we don't leave out aspects that affect humanity in these developments. And specifically today, I'm going to talk about the social and people's inclusivity element, which is one of the dimensions of the energy transition that we are here to talk about. But I implore the organizers to also continue looking into the other dimensional areas, the issues of technology, the regulatory framework that Honorable has ably elaborated, the issue of geo-inclusivity. These are all key aspects that we need to consider. However, as UNOC, what have we done in recognizing the participation of women, empowerment, and causing the just transition that we want to see? And it's good that today the world is realizing that the women are the center of this change that we want to see. The just transition has not just started. It has been there, but it's becoming evident that without the women getting involved, who are the key beneficiaries, like you've heard Honorable saying, that it's the women who are greatly affected by all these issues that we are talking about, the technologies that we are using for cooking. It's the woman who spends most of the time in the kitchen, using the firewood, causing all the health hazards. It is the women. And at the end of the day, it plays into the expenditure that comes to the health sector and that also comes to the women as individuals. So as UNOC, we have been deliberate to say yes, the institutions are there, government is there, private sector is there, civil society is there, that has come out to intervene in this process. But we are saying we need a platform. And this platform that has been created is called the Women in Energy and Extractives Network, and advocacy is one of the pillars that we are here to advance. And at this juncture, with the doctor here, I welcome you to this platform to join us. We need to pick your ideas. We need you on board to advance, because I know many more people need to hear this, and it is reality that we need to throw in the face. So in that network, we have government, we have private sector, we have civil society, we have development partners. They are all part of this network. We just started it. It's now 5 months, but I can assure you that we are here to take lead to cause the just change that we are looking at. And issues of clean energy, energy transition fall in one of the pillars for social safeguards. So today, I want to implore you to work together with us to see that we cause this change. No one is going to come and cause this change for us. But again, in doing this, the issue of saying again, it's women, it's women, it's women. Yes, there will be women because they are the mothers of this earth, and without them, we don't have sustainability. Therefore, let's think together, let's work together and have the sustainability that we need to see. If I can be in the kitchen and cook for you and come from wherever you're coming from, cabinet, boardroom, whatever, and you enjoy the meal, how then wouldn't you want to think of how this meal comes on our table? That would be very, very irrational of you. Therefore, if we bring the women who are able to speak, like Honorable said, those who are able to direct the resources to this just cause, we cannot achieve the just transition that we want to see, because the just transition that we are talking about requires investment. It's not coming for free. Until we can direct resources and be intentional to direct them into the areas where we want to see an impact, we shall still talk, we shall have the conferences, we shall speak, we shall lament, we won't see the change. So let us influence the resources, let us go back to the grassroots and understand that woman who is in the village, what do they need? In being into the discussions of energy transition, you can only address issues that you have understood. We won't sit in the boardrooms and say, we shall do A, we shall do B, we shall do C. We need to go back with our population being 70% and more in the rural areas. That shows that our concentration in the urban area, which is less than 30%, can only give us progress up to 30%. So the message is, let's go to the grassroots, let's go and see what exactly do the rural women need to be part of this, what are the solutions that are sustainable, because if we don't empower these women, we shall take the gas, we shall take the solar, and they'll still fail to use those energy sources. So let's empower them, let's do what is required, uplift the standards of living, and that is the contribution that will be made to cause the economic transformation that we talk for our country. I thank you.
Well, that's a very, very good submission, Madam Nakamia. Thank you so, so much. Now, we have not even gotten to the depth of this conversation, and I've already been hearing exchanges, comments, and opinions. So I would like to open up the room for now and get your reactions from what has been submitted by the ladies so far. And please note, this conversation is not about, it's about women through the whole chain of energy as a sector, all right? From the end user to the leader, all get to be affected by the decisions and policies and frameworks. And so if you do have a reaction, a comment, or a question, please raise your hand and a microphone will come your way. Especially the gentlemen. The gentlemen have been touched a lot, and they're smiling. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be collective effort. Doctor was telling us a story earlier on, whereby they were trying to create a better environment of water and sanitation in a certain community. And so they thought maybe coming and doing a borehole in that community would help the women be more efficient and effective. These women were originally fetching their water from the well. Even having put the borehole there, these women continued to go to the well to fetch their water from there. Reason being is that it was a social collective engagement which allowed them to talk about their problems and find solutions for their problems, especially in home matters. So they had to investigate, why aren't these women using the boreholes? Until they found the problem itself, then they had to readdress the problem. So reactions, please.
Thank you very much, our panelists. My name is Robin Akena Nyunja. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Uganda Solar Energy Association. In the women space, I'm also the President of Women Entrepreneurship Forum Africa. First, I would like to thank you and also to thank the Honorable for giving us that history, how far we have come from. Mine is just simple, that the Solar Energy Association would like to work with you or to join you, and also the Women Entrepreneurship Forum Africa, and maybe how do we join you? Thank you so much.
All right, let me have a reaction from a gentleman.
Thank you very much. My name is Tugume. I come from Makerere University. Well, from the submissions I've had, they are quite interesting, I have recorded something. Yesterday we were watching some TV show, and when Honorable Matembe mentioned something, my dad was, and I said, you know, that's my honorable. Then my dad was like, you seem to be a feminist. So I told him, I didn't have to explain myself. I just told him it's the new normal. Like, you just have to empower women if you want to develop. So my request to fellow men is, let's empower women. They are our mothers. Whether your mother or the mother of your kids, still they are the mothers of the nation. Then another thing, I'm getting challenges in fighting for women. We try to fight for women and open up spaces for them, but then the women of these days, especially the girls below 30 years, are taking women empowerment as if it's, or maybe women emancipation as if it's something to run to avoid working. They are used with this life of begging. When you're doing anything, she wants to be on the soft side and all that. So my question is directed to Honorable. Is it really in order for them to sit down and wait to be given everything just because it's women empowerment? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. The Honorable will answer that one at the end. We do have another reaction from a gentleman.
The one who comes in peace is always welcome. The one who comes to teach is always welcome. And the one who comes to learn is especially always welcome. Positive energy and Christian energy to all of us. I'm called David Nankunda, and my concern is, we as young people, if we keep empowering women only, and we don't empower the boy child, we are going to face a crisis in future. We will find these women, when they are more knowledgeable, they can't even sit with their fellow husband and they discuss certain things because they are far beyond, their understanding is far beyond than them. If we are to empower, let's empower all the children of the nation and the whole continent so that we go on the same pace. Thank you so much.
And it takes me back to my earlier remark in the introduction that it's a disadvantage that this panel is all women. It's very paramount that we have men leaders to give us their perspective to these 2 cents, a collective effort. And that will be the final one.
Okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Zoe Kwagala. I'm a civil engineer by profession. And I would want to thank all the panelists for what you have shared. I've been very encouraged. The first take-home was the men have a role to play in encouraging the girl child. When a girl child is encouraged by their male role models, I have, and I will tell you, I totally agree that it removes the barrier that you cannot do this, you cannot do that. Number 2, I would also wish to inquire, what measures are being put in place for women to be part of the renewable energy journey? For example, as a civil engineer, I want maybe to learn something about solar. Are there courses, subsidized courses for women who have that interest? Because that would be a very good thing. And lastly, to respond to the precurrent speakers about women given favors, women being handed down. The thing is, we still have to fight biases, and I'll stand boldly to say that even the women who are in positions, they work for it. They work for it, they earn it. Yes, they earn it. I did not become a civil engineer because I was forced or it was given to me. I worked hard. So let us remove the bias that we cannot do it, to always wait for free things. And those are some of the things which we need to fight. And I stand to say that as a person, I'll be the next generation to fight that bias. Thank you.
Doctor, the young engineer has taken up the mandate that you've said, you've given to them, that the generation to fight for these things is here and in this room and now. Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm Arone Indra, the Managing Director of the Artisan Group. Thank you so much. But what I've seen today, also men, we need someone like Honorable who will fight for us. I think this, even though we are
She says she's available to do both.
No. In fact, if now we can see the Minister of Energy is a lead, but they are not yet satisfied. So men really. Okay. If someone cannot stand and also motivate men, we are the one who are versing behind. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, let me have the final comment from that person. I'll come back to you. Yes.
Thank you so much, the moderator. I want to begin by thanking the panelists, specifically for bringing out issues of gender. My name is Sowedi Chitanywa. I am a member of parliament for Songora County North in the Kasese district. The Honorable Matembe makes a fundamental point, and that's where I want to directly go. She made a point and she said, women are in power without power. Given your vast experience in issues of women emancipation, I want to know, where did we go wrong? Where did we miss the point? And what is it that we can do so that we can have women in power with power? I thank you.
All right, the Honorable has noted down that comment there, women in power but without power. But we do have Engineer Sengendo. Engineer Sengendo, you do have power? Yes?
Yes, I do.
You have exercised your powers?
I have exercised my powers technically. When I talk about what you see wherever you walk, when you see those power lines, that is power in exercise, that is power in motion. So when you put your technical competences out there, they speak for you, yeah? So okay. That is power. So by the time you rise into the leadership positions, you consistently have a journey that shows where you are, what your focus is, and how you will be either perceived or taken to be. So if you portray or you perceive yourself to be without power, you'll be perceived as such. But if you know that you will, whatever you aim to do is that which is going to cause a change, then you go for that change. Okay. And as the Honorable has rightly put, because she was there and because she aimed to cause a change, that change came to be. So we can be these changes that we want to be.
Let me ask you a more direct question. You're in a position whereby you get to sign off on a lot of things. When it comes to your decisions, when you make the final decisions, have they been challenged in the room because of the imbalance in the gender representation?
No.
Do you have to explain yourself a lot?
No, as I said, if your decision you are making is backed up by your technical competencies, then you are able to challenge whoever will try to challenge you.
All right. So then it begs a question to an earlier submission that you made. You talked about your credibility, and you have invested a lot in education for yourself. Let's talk about the investment in education to tally with the desire that we want in terms of women direct participation in energy. In education, given the fact that you yourself have invested greatly in education, having aided the level at which you have leadership, can we talk about the investment of education for women who want to actively participate in the energy sector?
Thank you. Yes, education is very, very paramount. In fact, it's the foundational. But as I said, there is need for hand-holding, because getting up at a stage where a child is in, say, A-level or tertiary institution, and you're telling them, energy, I think it is a bit too late. But if we focus on the grassroots, as my colleague talked about, if we focus on the grassroots and nurture these young children to the areas that we want to focus them on, then we'll be able to get greater yields. Yes, just like my counterpart has said, even at ERA, we've been doing advocacy through Women in Energy initiative, which is started in 2019, and we've been going to schools to encourage girls, to talk to them, to mentor them, and we have seen a significant change. But what we are targeting currently is the secondary group. So at that time, most of the children have formulated their minds on whether I want to do sciences or not. So it will be a few that will be changed during that motivation. So if we cascade it down, I think we'll and follow through primary, secondary, into tertiary, and probably also provide a form of advocacy in the way the curriculum is designed to ensure that the girls are taken into consideration. Then we'll be able to get more yields. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Indinia. Why I asked that is because the gentleman talked about women getting free things. They get given incentives to get to where they are. Previously, that was the case, but now in an environment that is very competitive, it's very encouraged that women ought to give themselves the portfolio that they should have in order to get into the positions of power that they want to get into. And that's why we have these women here. They didn't get here by some sort of affirmative action, maybe for Honorable, but even she was in Parliament before that happened. And so the effort is equal, and it should be recognized as equal on all levels. Coming to you, Dr. Matembe, in regards to the advocacy work, it's evident that advocacy has worked, affirmative action has worked in governance, especially as far as politics is concerned. But you mentioned the fact that it's not trickling down to the other elements of society. And so it begs the question, how do we then extend it to other elements of society? Yes, we do have a minister at the head of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. The permanent secretary is also a lady, but surrounded by men up to the grassroots level. How do we change that narrative?
May I first respond to these people? I want to thank you for your response. It means you were hearing and attentive. Tugume, you said that your dad called you a feminist. You know, a feminist simply means that person who looks at the world through women's eyes. You can go and interpret it. That's where a feminist is. So it can be a man or a woman, but you perceive the world according to her eyes. And you know, I told you that we are all made differently. Men's perspective and women's perspective is not necessarily the same. That's why God said the two must work together to come out with what is beneficial to the humanity. Now, you said that these days girls are becoming lazy. I can assure you I am extremely disappointed about the girls or ladies these days below 40 years there. I told you about reverse gear. It seems that when they found that we had fought for them and they have accessed these positions a bit easier, they thought it was like that. There is what you call complacency. They think it was like that, and so they I don't know what has come to their heads, but it is, you can put it within the context of moral decadency and ethical value degeneration. Because we were fighting for women to stand up and say, yeah, I'm also a human being. I can even buy my husband a suit. I can, buy land. I can also build a house. I mean, that's what we wanted. And we moved and achieved some great deal. But why they are going backward, God knows. I don't know why they want to be cared for, but at the same time you listened to her. Where you people so tell lies and say women are favored, no. When they get jobs, they say they slept their job into it. When all these things are biases and they are lies. When the women are capable of achieving what they should achieve. I keep telling women, they are disappointing me, they better rise up. And by the way, you said that these people are here without affirmative action. The affirmative action of 1.5, which you brought at the higher institutions of learning, made a great deal to improve women's education and to break through the courses which they were not studying. We did many things. Now, women these days don't want to work. I have said it. I keep telling them that they are disappointing me, and I'm very angry with them. And I think when they hear, they will rise up. Then now Kunda need to empower the boy child. This boy child, these days, I'm on the battle of empowering boy child. They call me Rotarians, what, but this is what I want to tell you people hearing me. When I hear people saying we need to empower the boy child, I say, welcome on board. I say, I am happy. And I ask them, how come that when the girl child was so discriminated and abandoned and not respected as a full human being, when we went outside to fight, we were fought for fighting for equality, gender equality. We were fought so much that, but because we were resilient, we pushed through, we pushed through, that the girls now were also able to realize that they are full human beings with potential, talent, and wisdom, and they have embraced all that to take their rightful positions. Despite the fact that they were discriminated by culture, religious misinterpretation, by custom, by law, by poverty, by all these things which were discriminating a girl child. I want to ask you people, have you ever seen a boy child discriminated against by any culture, by any religion, by any system? No! They have never been discriminated against. And that's why when we rose up to fight, we were fighting for those who were discriminated against. Now the problem which has come, the culture which has always pampered the boy child and put that ego in the boy child to grow knowing that I'm a boy. The biases, the mentality of thinking that a boy is a special human being over the girl, and they kept having that mentality where the girls were being empowered. Now the boys have been thrown into a shock. They have woken up saying, hey, but all along I knew we were the important ones. All along we knew we were the ones who have wisdom and knowledge. So they are thrown into a shock. That's why now the men are saying, no, we need to empower the boy child. And I welcome that. And I'm saying, let's get now on the drawing board at the table, both of us, men and women, to really understand that gender equality is important for both men and women and girls and boys. We were trying to lift the women, the girls from down, to put them at the right side with the men, but now men, instead of standing firm on that side, they are collapsing down. So we need to pick them up.
Okay, doctor. Now on to the question that we asked. There's evidence.
There were these questions which
we'll answer to those other ones at the end.
Later.
Yes, please.
So what am I answering?
So now what you are answering?
I have to answer his question.
Now let's first answer my question. You've answered two of the questions. Now let's answer one of my questions.
You remember
to balance the both.
What was yours.
Okay, mine is very simple. Yes, the affirmative action is there. There's evidence of the advocacy for women's participation. But again, you have mentioned that there's also been deterioration over the time. By deterioration, we're looking at the women have the power, but when it comes to then empowering their fellow women to then also jump onto the same boards, to jump into the same positions, or to create an enabling environment for their fellow women, we're not seeing that. How do we rectify that?
You know, these questions you ask really, some of them do not dig or look into what is it that we are fighting. Because one thing for sure, when women were growing up and being reared and girls, they were told they are not fit. They are not fit for decision making. They are not fit to hold these certain jobs. They are not. That's why people say women don't elect fellow women. But women grew up knowing they are not fit. Those positions are not theirs. And it went into their heads. And therefore they look at a woman can't lead. How can we elect a woman to lead us?
Oh, so the mindset.
This mindset, when this woman gets a job, she wants to show the whole world that she's actually capable
to prove the men,
and she can do it. And she's there trying to compete with this man, to fight with this man, and she's not so sure that if she brings these other women, we'll be able to, to do as much as she can do. I'm just throwing in here and there. You really need to go deep and know the causes of these things, because that's why you see them fighting. For instance, did you ever, for instance, here when we were in Parliament with Kazuwe, with Sechitoreko, with all those women, did you ever hear we women politicians and ministers fighting one another? Did you hear us? For us, we went with the cause and we went to serve. I'm joining this with yours. We were doing when you are driven by your people-centered and service-oriented. And what has taken you there has nothing to be envious, has nothing to do with competition. We are just struggling to serve the people and improve them, okay? And the environment, the political environment was so conducive for us to participate. Free and fair political environment. As we talk right now, the political environment changed long ago. It became defiled by breakdown of morals and ethical value systems, by corruption, by materialism, by self-centeredness, by power orientation. So the political environment changed so much that now it is about self rather than people. You get what I'm telling you? The political environment in which I was serving, we were all focusing at serving people, improving the situation, and even the leadership itself knew that you needed women's participation to make changes. But right now, women's participation is for sitting there. The affirmative action has become counterproductive. It brings in those women who are going to support whatever the other leaders want and not question it. And therefore, in the end, they are there, they will enjoy their remuneration. That's why you see them fighting. I fight, I want to be minister, the other one. Why? Why don't you sit there where you are and serve? Because you want to be appreciated, you want to be favored by the higher powers, you want to do all that. Then another thing which has come in, this sexual harassment in offices. For us at our time, because we were tough, we were fighting it, we are not allowing it at all, it was not happening. But ever since we quit, sexual harassment has been everywhere. And yet people are not even being punished for it. And then the women are even scared to raise it. So things have really changed. I'm not going to give you an answer. The only answer is tell you that your generation has come. You better rise up and realize all these problems which are going on and say, how are we going to change this situation? Since we need the women's participation, since women's perspective is very important in making decisions that will change this nation for better, how are we going to retain or get those perspectives to do better decisions?
Thank you so much, Doctor.
At the center of your lives and let it drive you, and know that without women's participation and without men's also, encouragement and empowerment, we shall not move forward for the betterment of this nation.
All right, we do have Madam Nakamia, who I believe has had experience in that. With you being a woman leader in the energy sector, there's so many women groups that do exist in the sector. However, there's little impact or visibility in regards to more women assuming positions or leadership or influence or participation for that matter. From your point of experience, what is the perspective?
Thank you once again. And I want to respond to that by giving you more perspective about the initiative that is supposed to drive diversity, equity, and inclusion in the energy and extractive sector. We recognize our individual contributions, but we said, what is it that we can do? Much as the initiative has come out of UNOC, but we want to have a bigger impact for what we stand out for, and also, to some point, demystify what perceptions come with these kinds of industries where male are dominating. So the Women in Energy and Extractives Network have told you that it was launched in May 2023. It's just 5 months, but the mission for which we stand out for is to integrate the gender aspects in these sectors. And what does that mean? That we have the women and the men working together. There is no way we are going to take whatever we are talking about forward without appreciating what value that we all bring on the table. Now, it's a bit unfortunate when we talk about the reverse gear, but again, it's a reality, and for me, it's a wake-up call. We need to move forward. We cannot, that's playing in the efforts of the leaders, the great leaders like Honorable here that we've had. And indeed, Honorable, thank you for expressing that attitude that you're not happy. And I must say that we are here to stand in that legacy that you have created, and also hold the hands of those who are scared to take up these positions to come and work together. Like engineer said, it could be an issue of mentorship. And the same men are also at times the cause of the reactions of these ladies. A lady comes and she's scared to the end, but then what does that mean? That we need to put up processes. But quickly, which pillars are we looking at? And these pillars cut across. Whereas we are talking about leadership, which is one of the #1 pillars, we are talking about leadership at all levels, in the corporate world, in the associations that you have talked about, in the schools. And what can we do together to create the role models, to do the mentorship, the coaching, then advocacy? We have great resource, like you've heard, Honorable, and I've already called on, and we shall be meeting to talk about what is it that we can do to move forward than reversing. We have capacity building, and it cuts across from the grassroots, telling someone who has finished university and you need something from them. Probably they could have lost time and they would wish they had known earlier. So that is one of the pillars. In terms of business, it's a lot. what you do, and we want you to compliment us, then we can work together. You know, today there is a saying that, you know, you can't sustain a home alone. But if you don't empower the woman, how are they going to support you? The issue is you empower a woman, she becomes an irule, and that is not important if you're going to progress. So, yeah, doctor here has been married for 48 years, and she has been empowered, she has stayed in there, and we are also hanging in there, and I must assure you that the progress that I have made today as an individual is because of that strong support system of a male gender behind me that has made me progress. Without that support, the men, you're shattering the women, you're stepping on their potential. So come out, support them, and encourage them. You move together, and the boy child, for heaven's sake, is born by this woman, whom we are saying we want to empower. Is not going to buy milk and only give the girl and forget the boy. So the bottom line is empower the woman. Let us do the social safeguards where the issues of sexual harassment are, and the network is here. Everyone is called to join. Come and we work together. If we've been lacking a particular forum where we can establish and run, come and we work together. The Women in Energy and Extractives Network is here, and we are here to serve. We are not here to make money and to see the impact that we want to cause. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Nakamia. I understand the room is burning with questions, so let me just leave one question to Engineer Sengendo, then we can open up the floor once again. Engineer Sengendo, when it comes to the narrowing down the gender gap, how do we promote an increase in women's participation in the energy space?
Thank you. Yes, I keep going back to, hopefully I don't repeat myself, because we want to narrow down an area that has been portrayed to be, not portrayed, it has actually been deemed to be a male-dominated, yes, for many centuries, world over, the energy area has been known to be a men's world. So here we are trying to come in and penetrate, but the issue is the issue of perception of it is a hard area to play. So what do we need to do is what I've already talked about. We need to mentor, we need to break the walls, we need to, you know, we need to make it easier for the ladies or the girls to make informed choices by the advocacy, by, you know, by the mentoring, by the hand-holding. We need to speak out, including the men, because like I've mentioned, I was mentored by a man who is my dad, you know. So he believed that what a man can do, I can do. So the parents out there can play a big role. As I mentioned earlier, women do not only use energy, they can contribute significantly, strategically for economic development. So if we can bring that aspect out, that women can play in all these spaces and they will contribute economically positively, then I think that will be one of the areas where we can bring the gap down. Like I mentioned, my colleague has mentioned the Women in Energy and Extractives. ERA has been championing women in energy since 2019, and we go out to speak the message, telling these girls, you can do it, you can do the science, you can do the technology, you can do the engineering, you can do the math. There's nothing so hard about them. So demystifying what the girl sees as a challenge will be very important. And of course, what the Honorable has talked about, if we can tackle the issues that can affect the woman entering into energy and staying, because some step in and step out. The harassment, that thinking that we cannot handle this, creating flexibility. For example, a woman will wonder, if I am expecting and I have to go to this kind of job, what will happen to me? So they will opt to not even try. But we have supportive systems even in the workplace that I can be expecting and maintain my work within this energy field.
Okay.
And then they'll be able to seize the opportunity, and thank you.
My follow-up to that, your submission, we do appreciate it. It's futuristic though, it's for tomorrow, but there's women leaders of today. And so it begs the question, when it comes to governance and administration, what would you say is your perspective on these actions becoming a reality through the administration pipelines and the governance pipelines, and then even through the human resource pipeline?
Thank you. What I'm saying is actually not futuristic. What I'm saying is realistic, because I have lived through it. I have carried my babies when I've said I have 5, when doing this kind of work. So what I'm saying is, yes, we have been given a platform where women, the frameworks have been formulated to empower women to be considered at all levels of the organization trail. And as my colleagues have said, we are seeing an increase in women at a leadership level, but we have more men at the grassroots, middle and the down levels. So what we need to do is
fight each other, even when you give them opportunities. 2, a man can be so patient with a woman when she's not working. When a woman gets a job like this, oh my God, things change. You get? So all these things that we're trying to look at, they are key factors that women, they themselves have left their role of participation in society from participating in cultural values, religious values, even the community duties that they were supposed to be playing in. You get? So at the end of the day, the men have done their part in empowering women, but the women themselves have actually let themselves down.
Okay. Thank you so much. Responsibilities versus rights is... no, yes, you're going to respond to it shortly. I would like that microphone to come here.
Hello. My name is Atkunda Rachel. and I'm a database manager, and I work with Solantis Solar. Thank you, panelists, and Dr. Miria, you're my favorite. I like this talk because empowering women is mostly what we need to do to be able to keep the society moving, of course. But maybe I can give you just a small maybe solution that can keep on empowering us, the women.
In a minute.
Because I got to travel, I had an opportunity to travel to India, and they have this thing where certain positions in, let's say, sectors of the government or in companies, for example, even banks, are specifically placed there for women. So you can't place a man there, otherwise they are fined or taxed, or the companies usually has an issue. So most of the things that we're talking about here, even empowering women to be in the renewable energy sector, I would also say that maybe it's something we can also pick from the Indian government, and what they're doing is we can try to place certain positions to be in these companies, or in, for example, UNOC. You can say that we need to have these big positions occupied by women.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, so, Madam Yunok will respond to that. Thank you very much.
Maybe that's a solution that we can keep having for the women in there. And,
thank you so much.
Maybe Daisy?
We can only allow you that submission. My friend in white, please stand up. I would like to hear her voice. Yes.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and sincere appreciation to the panelists for their presentations. Women empowerment seems to shake the gents a lot. I don't know what makes you feel insecure when your sister or daughter or mother is empowered. I am sure, unless we don't understand what empowerment is in this perspective. But what is wrong with giving people the will and authority to be able to do something, something that is productive? And if it is productive, it is for the benefit of the both of us. What I've realized is that most women that grow and get empowered and succeed tend to either lose marriages in the long run just because they've gained a fatter pocket than that of the man. But bringing more income as a result of empowering a woman is really bringing more sustainability of livelihoods and all socioeconomic aspects of life.
All right, thank you very much.
Let us embrace women empowerment and work hand in hand with the women to even push them further to better positions.
Thank you so much. Now, this is the deal that I'm going to make with all of us in the room today. We have a cocktail after the session that comes in after. At that cocktail, let's meet together and finish this, okay? So allow me to give my panelists their closing remarks, because we have to make room for the next session. So let me start with the engineer Sengendo, your closing remarks and responses to the House.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. My closing remark is we cannot give up now. We need to continue in the journey of empowering the girl child, because when a girl is empowered, we have our country empowered through the various mechanisms of socio-economic transformation. This we can do by integrating more research into more areas on how we can enable the empowerment, areas that can bring about a perfect balance for both gender. We can also, the other thing is to continue funding these initiatives to ensure that we have a more sustainable roadmap on how to reach to the desired end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Engineer Sengendo. Madam Nakamia, could you give us your closing remarks?
Thank you. And my closing remarks will be more of an illustration. issues of women emancipation, energy transition, economic transformation is like a war, not only for Uganda, but globally. That means that we have to take position. We have talked about different dimensions. We have talked about capacity building. We have talked about parenting. We have talked about leadership. We have talked about governance. Now, all these things will not be in one pocket. That means we have to take position. We need strong pillars in governance. We need strong pillars in leadership. We need strong pillars that can hold the other people's hands to move together. We need pillars that are going to strengthen the social safeguards, and that's when we shall achieve what
One of the reasons why women have always remained behind is this gender prescribed roles. You know, there are natural roles which a man and a woman, they must play naturally. Like, you know, but things have changed anyway.
Giving birth.
Seriously now. Like a woman's role to have a pregnancy, and to deliver the baby, and to breastfeed that baby. For me, that's a natural role which I don't see a man doing, however much they are trying to do what they do. That is our role. We are God's factories for manufacturing human beings as women. So that is the only natural role which I see. But these other roles, which are not natural, change. And if we are to get women empowered to participate in decision making like we have seen, with education, with everything, what is it that women cannot do that men only can do? It is not there anymore. We are earning money, we are building houses, we are doing everything that men are doing. And therefore, this that we have failed on our roles, no, we need a new perception, a change of attitude to see that actually women, they are now playing more roles. They have added on to the roles that were meant to be men's role, and we have added on them. And therefore my appeal to men is, please look at it and say, now that women have opportunity to exercise their potential, their talents and wisdom for the good of the family and of the nation, please give them the opportunity and support them so that they can do the work.
Okay.
And let me finish this thing, because when shall I meet
Doctor,
them?
there are people waiting.
Yes, I know.
To the next session.
If you didn't
cocktail, doctor, we're doing this as a cocktail.
Okay. Cocktail is not so important as the message I'm delivering. Cocktail is for just a joke. How many times do you get Matembe tell you? Anyway, I'm responding to these very good things he has written. I'm not saying that you women, when you get these positions, that you just become impossible and you also go on top. You must remain on the side where God created you to be. And that's why I'm a living example. I am the most vocal woman in this country on that issue. But I've been married to Mr. Matembe, who is there supporting me as I support him for the last 48 years. And my goodness, my children, they are married, the way they treat their wives, my goodness, and I didn't get daughters. But I can see my sons doing wonderful job. And men, stop hiding. You are the ones who have abandoned your roles these days, and women are playing triple and double, and they are overworking from the public life, and then they take away. They take away. One statement. One statement. Listen to this one statement. The struggle for gender equality and women's empowerment is a journey. It is a journey which must be walked until we reach heaven one day. And this is a journey which must be walked by both men and women in partnership and in support of one another. Why? Because it is for the betterment of humanity and humankind. Work side by side together with women and boys, with girls. I can assure you we would attain development for this country very faster. And this renewable energy would even catch up very fast. And for me, that is my takeaway to you. Please, from today, know that this is for the good of us. And when a woman is fighting for women, he's fighting for a man's wife, a man's brother, sister, a man's daughter, and a man's sister, and mother.
And all the people in the house for you. Amen. Thank you very much, Doctor. This conversation is going to continue at the cocktail after the next session. We shall have the doctor to help us with this more conversations. So the next session here is going to be international collaboration on solar energy development, and it's going to be having a spotlight on International Solar Alliance. That's the next session taking on. My panelists, thank you so much for your submission. At the end of the day, takeaway from this is that it's collective effort, collective empowerment, and therefore we shall be seeing the collective resolutions that we want to see for an all-inclusive participation in the energy sector. Good evening. My panelists, can we take a photo? There's a picture.
So women need to be empowered to smile. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have 1 hour between us and the cocktail. I want to quickly invite my panelists to start this discussion. Thank you very much. So our next panel is going to discuss international collaboration, and to help us dive into this topic, I want to invite Honorable Sowed Chitanywa, the MP for Busongola, to the stage. I want to invite Dr. Nicholas Mukisa, I want to invite, and we've learned some things now from this panel that we've just finished. I want to invite Dr. Alakit Srivia to discuss matters of gender as well. I want to invite Honorable Nanyunja, she just stepped out, to join the panel. And I want to start right away so we don't lose time. Ladies and gentlemen, issues of renewable energy are partnership driven. So you're either dealing with government, private sector, civil society, or development partners. But the partnerships are not restricted to local. You either have local level, and that's at the district level, or national partnerships. You can also have regional levels, for example, at the East African region. However, because of the nature of the issues that we discussed with renewable energy, particularly with the recent, maybe I should do Why did I miss you? Because I was inviting ladies. You see now I'm becoming a feminist also. Yes. So, Mr. Mutiaba, please join the panel. Sorry about that. So, because of the recent discussions that involve climate change, particularly around the climate action, we are no longer discussing issues of mitigation or adaptation from local levels. The discussions are now at global level. So the partnerships that we are harnessing should go from local up to global level. Honorable, please join us to the stage. So we chose to discuss at this event a spotlight on the International Solar Alliance, which is a global body of like-minded players that came together, with Uganda being amongst the first signatories as a country, to look at initiatives that will help us to sustainably harvest the sun, but also generate that energy for sustainable utilization and environmental stewardship. Noting that Uganda is one of those countries that signed to this at the beginning, we've indeed been one of the countries that have had the biggest benefits from this collaboration. I can mention, but I'm sure our panelists will will jump into this at a deeper level. Uganda is a beneficiary of the Stasi Center, which is a center of excellence in solar development. Uganda has also been a beneficiary of support to solarization of health centers and schools, and we'll have partners speak to that. Recently, and indeed going forward, Uganda is getting policy and regulatory support with the recent mission by the International Solar Alliance looking at the regulatory framework for development of solar, but also the roadmap for advancing the solar pledge. We have also been beneficiaries of capacity building for human and institutional level. And in the previous panel, there was a civil engineer that wondered how they would benefit from these kinds of collaboration, getting opportunities for training. I just want to note that from the International Solar Alliance, every year we are awarded 2 scholarships to study in the most prestigious engineering institute in India. And the scholarships go to 1 female and 1 male. We already have participants that have benefited from this, and next year we shall still have those opportunities. We have also been beneficiaries in agriculture, particularly water for production, with a project that is looking at distribution of solar water pumps. The benefits are quite immense, and my panelists will speak to this. To take on with this discussion, I want to invite each of the panelists to make their first submission, a small introduction, and how your past and present initiatives speak to the development of renewable energy in the country and in the region. Honorable, please.
Thank you so much. My name is Soweni Chitanywa. I am a member of parliament for Songora County North, and Songora County North is in Kasese district. First of all, I am excited that I'm here and that I am one of those that are going to share with you the benefits that we have got from the support from the International Solar Alliance. My constituency benefited 3 schools and 1 health unit. That's Health Center 3 benefited from the project, and I will be sharing with you the benefits. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Dr. Arakit, please.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Arakit Sylvia, and I'm not a member of parliament, but yes, but I'm a lecturer from Accra University Business School, and I'm not here by mistake. My area of expertise is energy economics and with bias to solar energy. So I'm one of those beneficiaries of international collaborations with the NORAD. Sorry, I'll be sharing the benefits when the time comes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mutiaba.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Job Mutiaba. I'm a consultant in the energy sector. I've been working in this space for about 15 years. And when I look around the room, there are many familiar faces. I've worked previously with the Swedish Embassy in Kampala, where we've supported projects through the UNCDF to receive financing for various interventions in the renewable energy space. I've worked also with the International Renewable Energy Agency for the previous 5 years, where we supported projects worth more than $800 million. Most of them are actually solar projects, and I'll speak to that when my turn comes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mukisa.
I'm Dr. Nicholas Mukisa, the Deputy National Coordinator for the National Renewable Energy Platform, but also that was a lecturer. Well, I would leave as my colleague at the university, lecturing energy economics. I'm a beneficiary of several international collaborations or partnerships, and I also speak to that, but as well as supporting the International Solar Alliance in driving the support it's rendering to Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nanyunja, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I think I will say all for myself, including the introduction and also the present and past experience as requested by the moderator. Actually, Honorary Professor Robin Akena Nyunja. I hold a master's degree in environment and international development from the University of Twente in Netherlands. I earned my honorary professorship, as you hear, honorary, from out of the work I have done in the green sector, sustainability sector, through my own enterprise called Pilot International, which, by the way, I found when I was 25 years. I put myself in charge as president and CEO. So over the years, I've been in this green sector locally and internationally, promoting sustainable development, investments, also entrepreneurship across Africa and also with the diaspora. Currently also, the CEO of the Uganda Solar Energy Association. Of course, with the International Solar Alliance, we are strategic partners. As the Solar Association, we have a membership of about 300 companies across the country that are into the solar business. And as an association, of course, our role is to provide an enabling environment, support our member companies to do more, to access business opportunities. But of course, we work with the government, especially Ministry of Energy and other players in the sector to really facilitate this. So I'm really very, very happy to be part of this, and also from the gender perspective, I'm happy also to hear that the Women's League within the ministry was formed, and I'm looking forward to all this. So now my past and present experiences, of course, for the past kind of 15 years, sectors of clean energy and also environment itself, especially from the private sector point of view, it had challenges. Personally, yes, I had challenges making it in the private sector, young as was, so I decided to embrace almost everything, doable and also applicable, and really I'm very happy that about over 10 years that the renewable energy and the green sector is also from the private sector point of view has really caught up. You know, in that also space, the current perception is, of course, there are more opportunities in the sector, and the sky is the limit. So I would like to encourage all players, whether solar or other areas, to embrace this sector, because now everyone is looking at Africa. We have a lot of sun to harness. We are energy deficient. All this really presents opportunities for the private sector to do business, but also all other players, the international community, and of course the government. I'm someone who has really benefited a lot from also the globalization, which I entered in at a young age, but which I also continue to spearhead, that you can still be here as a Ugandan and also Ugandan woman and have your enterprise spread throughout the globe if you work with the right partners, if you embrace really opportunities, and also if you strategically align yourself. With those remarks, I think I've done it all. Thank you so much.
Not yet, Professor. I first got to meet a professor when she stood as a member of parliament on the green card. I know she has another session in Ebony that we shall be joining after here, for business to business session, but I wanted her to share from a political or a policy angle, what are the lessons and how can we harness international collaboration to build the renewable energy sector. Then once she's done with that question, we'll excuse her to go and prepare the session in Ebony. Please, Prof.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's good you brought that up. But of course, being in the green space from the private sector point of view, but almost working with everyone, yeah, I've landed also on other opportunities. So there is a group called the Global Greens. These are really politicians, actors, civil society, and also individuals that are really advocating or fighting for a greener society. I'm part of that as well, but also they have a women's league as well, which I co-convene on the global level while I'm here in Uganda. So it is a think tank of over 100 members of parliament, and there are also actually presidents that are whose ideology or parties are green. Green meaning they are advocating for this, among others. So, of course, the challenges, and why that is, we believe if you work with politicians who are the high-level decision makers, you sensitize about them, about the green issues, the adoption is going to be higher. But also they are going to inspire the society to embrace, maybe recycling, responsible living, saving electricity, saving water, and that kind of thing. So I wear so many hats. Yeah, you can look me up maybe via LinkedIn. I'm very active there, Robina Kenanyunja. But I sit on Mateka House, opposite police headquarters in Naguru. I'm happy really to continue with the conversations and to work together. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. We'll join you in Ebony. Now, matters of ISA specific. You see now when you're speaking after Professor Honorable, you're going to be a professor as well. Professor Honorable, please share with us your experience interacting with the International Solar Alliance and any benefits that have come through this collaboration.
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank government, and in particular, I want to thank the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development for the higher level collaboration with partners, and particularly the international partners. As a member of parliament, I work closely with the different departments within the ministry, and I came to learn about this project. So my interaction with the ministry gave an opportunity to my people in my constituency to apply to be supported in this project. And so we selected 3 hard to reach and hard to live schools and 1 health center. So with our continued collaboration with the ministry and the International Solar Alliance, these solar panels were brought to our institutions. They were installed, and at that time when they were installing these solar panels, and even when we were collaborating with the ministry, for me personally, my focus was more on lighting. I didn't know that there was something more than lighting. I am excited to tell you that besides lighting, because for me I was looking at these institutions, the health center, the schools, and I thought once we have lighting, then we shall have done it all. I am happy to report that beyond lighting, there are other benefits. I come from a very rural area, so I will tend to localize most of my issues, and I will give local examples for us to understand where we are coming from and where we have now reached. For those of you who studied in primary schools in towns, you may not understand me better. But those who studied in primary schools in the rural areas, you will indeed agree with me that Uganda has moved a long way. After the installation of these solar panels, the schools became so innovative that in one of the schools, they immediately established a salon. You know, rural children, they come to school, when you look at their hair, you may think these are hunters in the village. So what happened is that in one of the schools, and the other schools are copying, they established a salon, bought some equipment in the salon, and now children who come to school cut their hair from school. And for me, when I saw this, I was very excited. This was an innovation by the school so that the children, the pupils in the school, can be very smart. The other issue that came out is that these schools now, in rural areas, for those of us who grew from rural areas, seeing a TV in a rural area is a blessing. For you here in town, you may not understand. But these schools now have become innovative. They've bought television sets. And during the free hours of the pupils, when they have gone out for sports, specific days, specifically on Friday, in the afternoon, children now can watch TV. They are now exposed. The young ones can now watch cartoons. And I can tell you, as I was interacting with one of the head teachers, she told me that on Friday, when the pupils are entitled to watching in the afternoon, and those in the lower primary who watch after break, she told me on Friday, attendance in school is 100%. Because all children want to come to school, watch, and enjoy. So you can see the privileges. Me, I didn't see this. I was looking at lighting, but when I went there, I was really impressed. The issue of the community. Now, because this power is within the community, some community members have been traveling long distances in the nearby trading centers to go and charge their phones. Now that power is at the school, the parents now can come and charge their phones from the schools, and in turn, they are monitoring the teacher's attendance. Because if I am a parent, I have come to charge my phone, I will be able to see the classes where the students are, and I'm where the students and there is no teacher in the class. And I will be able to say, I think the teachers in this school are absent. So when I was interacting with some of the head teachers, they said that the presence of the parents around the school who continue coming to the school to come and charge their phones has also improved on attendance of the teachers, because the teachers know that the parents will be dropping at school and therefore they are indirectly being monitored. We also see another important benefit of the teachers. In rural areas, it's very hard to attract a teacher to go and stay at a rural primary school, because most of them didn't want to enjoy the privileges in towns. They want power in towns where they can charge their phones, they can watch TV. So once this is brought to a rural primary school, like those primary schools that we chose, the ones in hard-to-reach areas, the teachers now have accepted to come and stay in the staff quarters of the school, because the same privileges that they can access in towns are now readily available at the schools in the rural areas. And of course, they are now able to make preps for their classes. They are able to work on their plans, and therefore they are prepared to teach the pupils. More importantly, in one of the primary schools, I found when they had bought a computer. In a rural primary school, they bought a computer. They are now using it to enter the education management information system. They are no longer traveling to the town to go and do this. And they have now plans where they want to have a computer lab in a rural area, so that even the pupils at this school can now start on computer license. Those of you who may have studied from rural areas, you will realize that sometimes when the weather is very bad, the classrooms tend to turn dark, and therefore visibility may not be possible. But with now the presence of lighting, where the weather is bad, lighting happens and the pupils are able to see. Of course, the staff members, like I said, are motivated because the schools now have these facilities that were previously missing. At the health center, the patients are excited because in some of our health centers in the rural areas, you realize where you don't have solar, you don't have electricity, people are still using candles. But now we see a situation where we have a health center where there is light, and now the patients, especially those that are admitted, can now freely move. They no longer move with candles at the health units. So I really want to thank the ministry for this kind of collaboration. I want to thank the International Solar Alliance. And in my culture, when someone does something good for you, you ask for more. If something is not bad, if something is bad, you don't ask for more. So for me, I would want to see this collaboration going far. It should be beyond my constituency. It should reach the other districts, particularly the rural communities in Uganda. For now, this is what I can be able to share. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for that. As the national focal person for International Solar Alliance, I had the temptation to let you continue endlessly, because you're speaking testimonies that speak to the benefits that as a country we are deriving from this partnership with the International Solar Alliance. You mentioned quite a number of productive uses and other purposes, both in health centers, but also in schools, but also at the community level. And one of the challenges that we've had as a country is to sustain these benefits because of a breakdown in terms of lack of ability to operate and maintain these facilities. One of the other areas that the International Solar Alliance is supporting us is to build a critical mass of capacity for the country to make sure that the good benefits that you've mentioned can be sustained. So we want to train or build centers that can sustain the capacity in the country. I want to bring in Dr. Nicholas Mukisa to speak to the STARC development as one of those initiatives of the International Solar Alliance to build capacity for the country. Dr. Nicholas, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Brand. As alluded to by my colleague, I was listening in and appreciating being one of those that have been raised in the rural setting and studied in a school where there was no electricity access. I understand the situation that most of those people are going through, but also knowing the sector well, and I've mentioned that those systems have been established. The likelihood or the sustainability of these systems and beyond remains at our hands. And without technical know-how of how to operate these systems, of how to design and size them, comes down to us on how long they will stay operational or we abandon it. So with this support from the ISA, or International Solar Alliance, to establish a STARC, a center of excellence where we are going to be supporting or training people on matters to do with solar systems, is going to go a long way, because we've seen traditionally, for those that have been working closely with solar companies or solar systems, you look at the way these solar panels, for instance, the wire gauges used, the battery sizing, and all the nitty-gritties involved in the system are not sized and designed to the standard. And I know that through this arrangement of the STARC, we are going to have trained and certified technicians of whom their database is going to be well kept, that we can track and trace their progress in sector performance, be the system they've installed. We have guarantee, and we can follow up where need be, bring them for a refresher course. We've seen that for those that maybe have dealt close also with the solar space, you note that many of our people, when one is supporting a technician, 1 or 2 years, they also assume the role of being technicians. It's widely known as the camufus in this country. And this has kind of affected the sector, which I appreciate the government that is taking a close interest in that, to clean up the sector. And through this partnership, I'm sure that we are going to take we are taking the right decision, the right steps in the right direction to streamline the sector. And not only is it going to help the technicians, but I know that even institutions and universities are going to be beneficiaries of this capacity building, because several of our universities are not training at this level. Here, one, because they don't have labs, and I know that with such an establishment of a center, these universities, through different arrangements, be it collaborations and MOUs, will have access to these facilities and these technologies to quick start the training of their graduates and others. But also what it brings to us as Ugandans is the possibility of tech transfer. The solar space is quite a dynamic space, and having such a state-of-the-art center at our hand, in Uganda, is going to bring us opportunities for our people to learn about these different state-of-the-art technologies, the emerging technologies, but also support, on research. This country is quite, should I say, has very little done on the research space, and which also speaks to the development and the innovations we've so far recorded as a country. So I believe with such a facility, we are going to have increased research outputs because of the equipment used at the center, but also we are going to have better management of the solar subsector in Uganda to ensure that the intended or envisaged performance of the energy sector are achieved.
Thank you very much, Doctor. And speaking about capacity, Dr. Arakit, being a beneficiary of similar capacity, how do we sustain this capacity, capacity opportunities that are attained through international collaboration How do we sustain this at a higher level beyond the technician level like Dr. Nicholas mentioned? We want to learn from that particular project, which are meant to understand the number of higher level degrees were attained, so that we sustain this in the country.
Okay, thank you very much. I wanted to whisper to my neighbor when he was talking about the benefits of the energy, and I'm wondering, I think it's one of the avenues of vehicles that are going to give him more votes.
Yes.
And he forgot it. So by asking for more, he has a voice to, go for more votes, But talking about scholarships, as a beneficiary, we were, awarded a scholarship by the Norwegian government under the NORAD project, and this program specifically was looking at building capacity at a higher level, and that is at the PhD level, and specifically in the energy space. As we've seen the conversation from yesterday, most of the aspects that the industry is talking about is really the hard one, the engineering and the innovations and the technologies. And I mean, there is less being talked about the soft skills and the sustainability, but also more into the aspect of planning and then, rolling out or more or less commercializing these technologies. So with this kind of intervention, where, the Norwegian government, together with the local partners here in the country, and that is MOBS and also Makerere University, they were able to support quite a number of students, and I'm one of those people who were able to get this kind of training. And the focus mainly was really to do more of economics of energy. And this kind of collaboration was to work together with the local institution. That was a requirement, that the Norwegian government would only give the financing if the local university is partnering with one of their universities in their country. And I guess that is one way to build sustainability. There must be a collaboration, and there must be local participants here together with their participants, and even the training. The training was more or less, blended. There are some people who left the country to go and study in Norway, and there are those who stayed here and studied locally, and then people from the Norwegian university would come here and train us. And I think the whole issue was to try to, sustain the program by empowering the local institutions. So Dr. Brian, by these collaborations, having a local partnership, but also training people at a higher university, they are trying to build capacity that can be scaled, okay? And the program can be sustained. So among some of the benefits that we had really was the training, and the training was on the issues of governance of this energy, the issues of just transition, the issues of modeling, and developing models that suit the local context, and then how do we then, be able to commercialize some of this innovation, and therefore we're trying also to develop the business models here and there. And the other thing also that this scholarship did was to focus more on the women, because again, in the space of energy and in higher institutions of learning, like at the PhD level, there are quite a few ladies that are there, or women. So it was, again, like affirmative action, whereby the program targeted mostly women because of the challenges that they have, yet again, energy itself has a gender face. So when we talk about energy and all this energy transition, leaving no one behind, which is SDG 7, it's really about women, because we can't talk about energy without women. So one of the aspects of mechanisms was to actually target the women to come into the training and get this kind of capacity building. Of course, the focus was on research, not really into creating innovations, but trying to understand, the market, where are the opportunities, where are the challenges, and trying to link this data to the policy aspects. How then can we use evidence to inform policy that is going to speak to the people down there? So again, this, I think, was part of, sustainability of this energy issue, so that we have data-driven or evidence-driven policy making. I don't know how far we are there yet. I don't know if really we have informed policy yet, but again, it's something I want to bring on board later, probably for discussion here. Maybe the other benefit I also want to mention here is the issue of exposure. Dr. Brand, with these collaborations, you know, as local people here, we get an opportunity to go out there and understand how the energy sectors are, you know, being managed, how they are being governed, how it's being run. So we picked quite a lot of lessons because we had to do energy modeling in China, and we learned quite a lot of things, how these people plan their energy sector, their energy resources, and how they are trying to create those mixes, which is of course not here locally, but again, is something we shall share here and there. And we also had issues of benefiting from the international associations. We have International Association for Energy Economics, International Energy Agency. I think they were here yesterday, though I don't know if they spoke. But again, these associations bring, you know, people, bring the knowledge, bring the information together, and we are able to discuss at the same level. The one thing I want to bring to your attention is that I think when we were in Netherlands, we had a conference, and that discussion which was there, you know, did not even address our problems as Uganda. You know, people were now into speaking about energy storage, energy, you know, for us, we are still looking at access. So when we reached there, we actually had nothing much to add because their discussion is totally ahead. So we are quite away. We really need to move. But I'm happy about this conference that we are looking at leaving no one behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You touched a number of points. Job is unique, and that's why he sits in the middle of that panel. He's worked at the international level, worked at an embassy. He's worked with an implementer, Jai, is that right? He's now a consultant. So he has picked all these things, and I wanted him to put together whatever they've said, tell us how we can have that advanced through partnerships at all those levels with government partners, with international platforms like IRENA, where you worked for some time, and in the framework of ISA. Joe, please.
Thank you, Dr. Brian. And I've been privileged to be in various contexts of the energy space as an implementing, you know, person within the sector. I've worked with financing entities, including the funder, CEDA. I've worked with IRENA facilitating transactions, and I've seen energy and energy projects at various levels, from very micro scale projects to megawatt size projects. And one of the things that come to mind is energy is very much contextual. The energy that we are talking about in Uganda or in Gulu or Nwaya or Kampala is very different. Energy in Kampala and energy in Gulu are very different contexts. Yes, we all use electricity, we all want the same benefits of energy, but given the local context, the needs vary. And so, therefore, the discussions that we are having, the intervention that we are having, must take into consideration those various contexts. The second thing I wanted to bring up is the issue of how the sector is building up, especially when you compare Uganda vis-a-vis the rest of the world, how we are operating in this space. One thing that shows up often is the time scale. The time scale between putting together an energy project and implementing it, the business development to all the way into the implementation phase. I've been part of projects where in 24 months, we've started from scratch, business development, and delivered a 35 megawatt project, which has gone on to become now a 70 megawatt project. And this is during COVID in Togo. When I look at our development, business development stages, at least in this country, whether it's off-grid or on-grid, you realize that we take way more time. And with more time means the beneficiaries are not yet benefiting, means the cost of the project is going up and up and up. And all these things make the sector, you know, lose traction. And in the end, we miss out on opportunities that could have come to the country in terms of partnerships, in terms of investments to the energy sector, especially in the renewable space. So what can we do? Again, I'll start with a contextual issue that we need to be able to de-risk projects from the onset of ideas all the way to when we are seeking the financial close. We need to be able to find mechanisms of de-risking projects. So whether it is through public sector financing, through like the likes of UECCC, through private sector, through development partners, put together packages that address the contextual issues of the projects where they are going to be deployed. Without that, we are going to continue at the less than the pace that we need to move at to be able to deliver, a just energy transition. The second is bundle mini grids. We're probably going to talk about mini grids again, but if we are going to do mini grids and we want to do them to the level where they need to be, where we deliver energy access for all through mini grids and off-grid standalone solutions, we need to bundle them. Developing one mini grid at a time is extremely costly. It's not going to be commercially viable in the long run. But by bundling a number of sites, 20, 30, 50 sites, we are able to attract international financing into the sector. I've been part of projects in Niger, in Senegal, in Mali, where instead of dealing with one mini grid, they're doing 100 mini grids. And by doing 100 mini grids, they are able to attract $15 million in financing from Abu Dhabi Fund for Development. And another scenario, we have 42 mini grids attracting $20 million. So if we bundle projects and develop them and de-risk them at the early level, because without them being de-risked, without them being able to attract international financing, then the sector moves at a slower pace. Remember, off-grid is going to play a role in this sector for a much longer time. For sustainable access, off-grid is going to be part of that conversation. And then finally on that point, local financing. Before we go and look for international partnerships, before you go and look for money elsewhere in the region and beyond, we need to raise money locally. I'm glad that we have UECCC and other entities, development, the UDB, we have the commercial banks also working in the energy space. But we need to do this at a much more ambitious scale than we are doing right now. We need to be able to put together packages which we can then take to the international partners and say, look, we have $10 million. What can you add to this? So that then together we can drive the sector forward. My final point is on digitization. If you're going to deliver quality solar projects, we need to be working in a digital environment. What do I mean? Installation of off-grid systems, be it mini grids or standalone systems at scale, is going to bring the issues of the 5 V's, which are known in the data sector. Veracity, velocity, volumes, variety, and all those. So what's happening? You're installing systems at a very fast pace. No regulator can be able to sustainably go and check all these systems one at a time and verify them for quality. But with digital infrastructure, if we have embedded technology in every system, this is not new. All pay-as-you-go projects that we have, all pay-as-you-go companies have embedded IoT systems in those devices. So they are able to track which system is working, which system is not working. We should extend this not only to those that are being sold on credit, but to every new system being installed. If it had the embedded technology, it's not expensive, it's less than $2. We would be able to track all the systems. We'll be able to know how far we've gone when it comes to access, and we'll be able to track it in real time. We will not be depending on second statistical surveys and doing a bit of sampling here and there. We will know for certain how many systems are actually being installed and whether they are working or not. And to that, before I hand over back to Dr. Brown, I didn't mention that I'm also a PhD student, and I have a small pictorial presentation which is off to your left if you're seated facing us, on my right basically, and it shows what I found in terms of what's happening with off-grid connections in communities. I've titled it Voices Off-Grid, and it will show you the challenges but also the impact that off-grid is bringing to the community. So you please feel free to take a look after the session and see, and we can have a conversation about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so concerned about local content. even when we are having all these discussions, there are private sector players, and I see all the faces. He's seated there, and they are quite a number. Most of the companies that are succeeding in this country are not Ugandan companies. And the financing that is available may not even be suitable for Ugandan companies. So there is this disconnect between the companies that need money and the companies that are providing money. Even with the existence of the financial intermediation of UECCC. And I would want to ask, and I wanted to make a follow-up with you, a quick follow-up with you, with your experience working in all those places, then I'll bring it to you, Honorable. How do we get more Ugandan companies strong enough to create a sustainable market for these things? So a quick one, then I bring it to you, Honorable, before I open up for a few questions from the audience, please.
Thank you, Doctor. My interaction with some of the Ugandan companies, the local companies here in Uganda, you find they have quality products, but they are not visible. They are not visible to the various stakeholders. They are not visible to the financing entities. That's why I go back to my last point, digitization. We need to show evidence that we are doing what we are doing. If you're installing 10 very good quality systems a month and they are working very well, we want to be able to see that on a platform, because then with that we can be able to say you need some support here and there to be able to attract the necessary funding. So yes, there's a technical issue where we need to encourage the local companies to develop their capacity to deliver on a larger scale. But even that they are already doing is not visible, and without that visibility, it's very hard to convince the financing entities to provide resources to such a company or such an entity. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable, when we had the tender for the projects that were installed in your place, I had made it very clear to the International Solar Alliance that we'll give it to a local company. Every time we sent out these calls for bids, none of them could succeed. And we ended up giving a local company, but maybe I should say not an indigenous company. How else can we be helped at the policy level to make sure that we support these companies to participate, because there are a number of projects that they would benefit from?
Thank you so much. At the policy level, we have been looking at the same problem, asking ourselves why the local companies do not have a competitive advantage, especially if we have international companies. And the good news is that as Parliament, there is a bill, which is the local content bill, which we have finished. We have submitted it to the President, and any time the President will assent to it. And in my opinion, looking at the contents of the local content bill, once the President assents to it, then we will have a cure to this problem. So let's pray that the President assents to this bill. It has a number of sections that really protect our local companies, but also it gives them an advantage. If, for example, their problem is the resource envelope, the government is creating a way in which they can be able to access these funds through that.
Thank you very much. This is a time for the audience to interact with the panel, and if you don't ask many questions, we will ask you questions. So do you have any questions? One here, let's first count. So this will be number one, number two, number three. I hope the people at the back. Joel, I'm going to ask you a question because you've not asked a question. So I'll ask you to, so let's take the first question.
Thank you very much. The panel that is before us here. Yes, I have a question, but it's going straight to Honorable. Since some of the roles of members of Parliament is oversight, and then also like approving budgets and also scrutinizing them. You've seen today and last week, whereby from the Renewable Energy and the Science Week, there are a lot of innovations that we're having. And you've also alluded that renewable energy is very important in our communities, and you've seen in Kasese. For example, if you see Karamoja or West Nile, most of these regions here, you really go through a lot. But with renewable energy, like if you invest a lot, let me say from budget allocations, from the national budget framework paper, if you really have most of these priorities, we're saying a capacity building, we're talking about accessibility. If really we have most of these priorities implemented and put before the House, most of these challenges that we have here, we shall really have to embrace our renewable energy in our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a comment. Let's go to the lady, then come here.
Thank you so much, Doctor. My name is Jacqueline Nakasaga from Equatorial Power. My question is concerning the capacity building. Dr. Mkisa talked about the STACI, I think the institute that is in plan. My question is, will this be set up in the local communities? Like, for example, the communities that the Honorable is representing. For example, if you look at the projects that we put in these local communities, we find that we do not have technicians to do the maintenance and all the nitty-gritties that are involved. But if we empower someone from the local community to do the technical part and work, or partner with the vocational institutes and have some of these people empowered, we would see not only extending light and empowering these people, but also building people and recruiting more people in the energy sector. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Lastly here. Here. Before then, there's a hand there as well. Then I see John.
Thank you so much. My name is Nisima Stephen Kahero, and as a student of electronics and communication and major in industrial automation. Now, seeing this clean energy, my concern is two. One is affordability, and two is knowledge. So talking about solar specifically, you know about the panels and then controllers, maybe batteries, maybe solar, so water pumps, or maybe the motors. But do you think, can we have a way, or maybe to the Honorable most especially, of production of these equipments, because that will reduce on the cost? Because if these equipments are produced outside, then it will be hard for us, to an individual companies, to go and acquire those products vis-a-vis the other external companies. So do you think can it be easy to be able maybe to assemble, or maybe even to manufacture these equipments, so that the local companies can be easy to access them? That is affordability. Two, about the knowledge. I've learned International Solar Alliance. So what more do you do about the sensitization and even equipping the knowledge about that clean energy for Uganda? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nyakwezi, you had your hand up? No. Joel.
Thank you, Dr. Brian, and your esteemed panel for a very informed session. My question is, I would like any of the panel who could just speak to how this STACI center, which is being set up, how would it help Uganda to achieve? Yesterday we had the minister saying that there's a plan to reach 52,000 megawatts, of which we know solar will have 5,000. So what role will this STACI center help in helping Uganda to achieve that goal? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will allow the panelists to answer the questions and of course very briefly, but also give your closing remarks on what else we need to do to advance these kinds of partnerships at the international level, but also at the regional level. I want to start with Dr. Arakit. If there is any question, take it, but you can also give us your last proposal.
I think there is no specific question addressed to me, but for me, my take is that I think one of the challenges that we've had also with the international collaborations is the fact that they have their interests and they come with their interests. So as a country, I guess we also need to be prepared to advance our own interests. As we enter into this collaboration, there is always that position where we reach and we heed to the interests of the international collaborators, and at the end of that day, we do not benefit much. Probably that's why we are having challenges where local companies cannot actually compete because they don't have what it takes. That's a fact. They cannot even prepare a proposal to compete with these companies. So I guess we still have a gap there. But from academia, one thing I noticed or I experienced out of this collaboration is that we still have a very big gap in terms of training and skilling. When you go to these countries, their training is more or less, more practical and little theory. So even when you are a PhD student or a master's student, you spend quite a lot of time working with the company. So you do that training in the field, trying to develop the systems, trying to develop the business models, trying to model for them. So you leave the university with a complete knowledge, ready to actually transform, the private sector or even to contribute to policy. So I don't know what we can do as a ministry. This is something we need to take up because every other time you tell us we are not competent enough, we cannot do what you want, our graduates are not ready, but you see the mode of training. When we send the students for internship, they are put to prepare papers, to prepare tea, and when they graduate, they have nothing to offer. So probably we need to look into that direction. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I had the audience excited when you said we send them to prepare papers. And since we are in the ministry, that touches us. I think one of the things we've been trying to do with the NREP platform, which Dr. Muksa will speak to, is to see how we bridge the gap between policy, but also with industry, and particularly how we advance our initiatives on research for development. And recently, you know, that close collaboration is yielding results. We are now able to get university lecturers to be on our projects as we design them, so that way we have that cross-fertilization of ideas. The journey is still a long one, but my advice or my concern has also been that when we get students sometimes from the university, there's a bit of detachment between the skills that they have and the immediate skills that they need in the industry. So there is that we still need to work on, and the only way, and I've seen this at international level, is that you enhance that collaboration between industry and universities, so that even when the universities do research, they are doing research on things that we want to develop this sector. And I've had challenges. I supervise students from Makerere and maybe other places, where when we tell you what we want you to research on, you're looking for p-values. So the industry wants certain research to inform policy. The university says that's not publishable. So that disconnect is what sometimes gives us a challenge. But I think the future is bright. We have started to enhance that collaboration. I want to come to Mr. Mtyaba. Any questions that you picked quickly, and any last suggestion on how we can enhance this collaboration?
I might cannibalize a little on Dr. Mkisa's response, but sure, yeah. To Joel's question, for me, beyond the technical interventions, technical capacity building, I think the energy sector requires competencies beyond just the engineering aspects. We need finance people, we need legal people, we need people from business, and all these various competencies need to be built around the sector to make it thrive. So for me, that is crucial. I hope Dr. Mukisa will agree with me. But my last 2 cents are about finance. My passion is to bring more money into the sector. And how do we do that? We do that by being attractive. Attractive as stakeholders, as individuals who are well trained to deliver the various projects that we need that we are developing. What do I mean by that? To the question of local content, people have interacted with most of the local companies, might be very good at installation, might be very good at putting together the kits. When it comes to fundraising, there's no competence. They cannot write a good proposal to win a bid. We need to develop the various components of our businesses so that we are able to actually bid to win. We are able to present ourselves in a way that we can, win the bids. The second element in this being attractive is our policies and the regulatory framework. The policy I have very little to say about because I think we have a very good policy. But when it comes to regulation, especially attached to off-grid, I think there is still a gap. There are things that we can do to improve the regulatory space and make off-grid solutions, mini-grids, decentralized systems, C&I, to be able to participate actively as a whole of the energy sector. Right now, off-grid provides a lot more in terms of access for the population. But in terms of how well it's regulated, I think there are gaps there. And if we solve them, if we make the regulation very clear, if we make the business environment very easy to work in, we are going to see projects develop very fast, be delivered very fast, and therefore attract the relevant financing that is required to deliver on these projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mukisa, you have one or two questions, then last recommendations.
Very much, Dr. Brian. It looks like everyone has left the questions to me. Everyone seems to say, pass them the left-hand hand, the front, and I have no one on my left, so it feels like I have to sit in for all of these questions. But yes, the first question came in from Jackie, where she's inquiring about where the STAC is going to be located. The first requirement of the establishment is to have the institution to host the STAC should have already an established framework where you have maybe a lab, you've been already doing some bit of capacity so that there's contribution to the already existent system. So this STAC will be established at one of the institutions, could be at one of the universities, technical institution that will host it. But to have satellite institutions which are localized in rural areas that are closer to the end users. Yes, so this will be just the main establishment at one of the institutions. Others maybe could be Busitema, could be Makere, could be any other, or Creek or Nakawa. But then the different satellite institutions shall be closer to the end user, where capacity can as well be built. Then you said there's no. Looking at the last mile presence of technicians, and I think this is something we've been discussing closely with Dr. Brian over time, that we need also to look at the target audience to serve as technicians in the last mile spaces. One of our target beneficiaries has been the teachers, science teachers in the different schools. You note that teachers are rarely transferred outside the district. So once these teachers are capacitated, they can ably serve as operators, as technicians in these spaces, vis-a-vis having a technician trained and he has to relocate from wherever. Because when business starts booming, someone will move. If they they were trained in Karamoja and they have nothing else tying them there, they can always move to Mbale, Soloti, or even Kampala. And what we are trying to minimize is the concentration of expertise in only urban areas. But then if you go for the teachers, you have a right target because those will always be in those communities. Someone talked about affordability. I don't know if affordability in aspect of front cost, the front cost. But yes, we also appreciate that when you look at the trends of how, for instance, solar systems pricing has been over the years, I think the first people to have ever installed, let me maybe use phones. When phones came on market in the early or late 90s, someone holding an Ericsson phone was buying it at close to 2 million.
People then used to pay for airtime and service fee. Even if you had 10,000 amount of money for airtime, without service fee, wouldn't make calls. Today, at as little as 50 shillings, you can make a call. So the prices are going down because as market is penetrated, supply increases, and then the prices will gradually go down. I think the economists could speak to that better. So we anticipate that as the market grows and products come in, of course, standard products, because we want to avoid substandard and fake products on market that will kill it, we anticipate and project that the prices will continue to gradually go down. So a solar panel, for instance, 100 watts, is around less than 200,000 now, but at some point was close to $1 million. So the prices have tremendously gone down. About the knowledge and sensitization, I think this is something that we've been doing. This is one of the events for sensitization. I know that several of the people here are not experts in energy, but they've learned one or two things about energy. We've had several sessions today where we've had religious leaders, cultural leaders, we've had the inclusive voices, and you've noticed that the panelists are not experts, but there's something they can contribute. And this is to expand the scope or the reach of the sensitization. So I know that sensitization, there are already efforts underway, but also we're expanding which actors and stakeholders we pick on to advance the discussion on sensitization. About how the STATC will help Uganda achieve its target. Statistics have indicated that several of the people that have solar systems, several they do not last over a year. And the reason comes down to the constant of maintenance. Because, for instance, if a project is sponsored, say, by government or a development partner to solarize institutions, when the project closes, the beneficiaries are responsible for its maintenance. Now, it comes down that these beneficiaries at times do not have a contact person in their vicinity to oversee its maintenance and operation. So when they cannot trace a technician in their close proximity, they give up on the system. And I think we have several of them lying dormant on schools and health facility roofs because there's no one to actually do a bit of maintenance. And I think Dr. Brown has statistics to that. So I know that if from this study, those that will benefit through the capacity building rendered, they will go a long way to avail services in urban and rural areas. So I think I've exhausted the questions.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Just one last line on what else we need to do.
So what we need to do is to, like my colleague, I think to us, like, we need to define our interests, especially when we go into the partnerships. We need to have an edge on what we're presenting. We should not only look at ourselves as only receiving, because there we have a low negotiating powers. It has to be a 50-50. You present your position vis-a-vis the partner with whom you're working with. So that's crucial. I talked about, we've been thinking, because the local content, we need to define what is exactly local content and what do we want to ring fence as for local content. So I would maybe recommend we need to develop an energy local content framework. What exactly do we want to safeguard or what do we want to, reserve for our local actors? I wouldn't say at the moment that we should go for training or matching with the internationals to help us grow the capacity, because you'll find some of our local companies, which are small scale, they've not had the experience of developing big mega projects. So they need a bit of hand-holding. But if we developed an energy local content framework, preferably would have that embedded. And through that framework, or as my colleague here had mentioned, that the off-grid regulation for the off-grid space is still wanting. I think this is why we need to look into is it a possibility of developing a Renewable Energy Act? How can we quick start, because not only is it off-grid, but even areas of cooking. So there's still a gap that needs to be regulated, and if we can have an act to empower us, come up with regulations thereafter, I think we can address the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Is to conclude, but also thank International Solar Alliance, but noting that you're standing between us and the cocktail.
But Doctor, just one point before Honorable. I think also one thing we need to prioritize in the ministry is the issue of data. I've always had challenges with the statistics being presented here, and someone is saying 3% of the population have access or having energy for productive use. I really get a lot of challenges verifying that. But if we are to plan better, but also equip ourselves to negotiate better for ourselves, we need to have good data that can back our plans, back our decisions, back our numbers, and also support us, the researcher, to provide, real-time information to inform policy. So in whatever you're doing or whatever collaboration you can get, we need to fast-track data.
Brilliant. I can't add anything onto that. Thanks. Honorable.
Yes, thanks, Doctor. I think for me, there are a number of issues that are coming up, and I want to agree with the comments that our audience has given, but also I want to thank my colleagues for the responses that you've given. On behalf of the beneficiaries of the solarization project, and particularly to the International Solar Alliance, I want to bring my sincere thanks for this project. And like I said earlier, it's a very good project that I would wish to see other Ugandans enjoying. So I want to request that as we move on, we need to bring other partners on board. That is when this collaboration will make more sense. But also, this kind of collaboration should not stop at international, national level. I would love to see it trickling down to the region, to the district, and if anything at community level. Because at community level, that's where everything is happening. I was impressed when I visited some of the stalls around. Me, as someone who would think that I am exposed, I saw many things that I didn't know. Now I was still imagining that suppose these went down to my local community, what change would this create? And that speaks to the issue of knowledge. Our people sometimes would want to join this journey of renewable energy and looking at clean energy for everyone. Many people would want to join, but they do not have this opportunity. So in my opinion, once this knowledge is taken down to our local communities, we will be able to change the situation in this country. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for those closing remarks, and of course the appreciation to ISA. Ladies and gentlemen, this panel has got to end because something else has got to start. From here we must go for tea. Tea has sugar and you'll need energy, because after that we'll go for cocktail. It's not good to be at cocktail when you're seated because you need sugar to dance. Some announcing that we go from here, pick not 1 but 2 cups of tea and a number of bites because it's going to be a long evening. Then you go close to the tea place for a bigger cocktail. Those of you that missed yesterday, you have an opportunity to double today. It's going to be a big cocktail. I also want to announce that tomorrow is the closing day. And those of you that attended REC 22, closing day is a special day. We have special things that happen. The ministers will be here and the permanent secretary, and we have a number of projects that are being launched. So being a closing day also becomes a family day. So we're encouraging you to invite all your friends, in-laws and spouses to be part of that glamorous closure. So if you have a friend, tell a friend to also tell a friend that we are closing this day. So the day will start quite early, like we started to that 8:30. Our intention is to finish at lunch and have a bigger meal within the exhibition area which you may choose to call cocktail or tea-tail. So we're encouraging you to come in quite early so that we get done with the business. I've encouraged you to carry your families such that they are part of this big event that we are closing. Part of it is also the annual awards of the performers of this conference that will happen. So if I were you, I would not hesitate to come, and I would not cheat my friend not to come, because my whole family will also come. Why shouldn't yours do? Ladies and gentlemen, this panel has ended. Apart from the photographer that will take the photo, please feel free to move down and do what I just said. Thank you very much and good evening. Photographer. There's no photographer with the phone.